Hi, how's it going? I've I'm not gonna hold you, right? It's Monday and I ain't done shit. Not a single fucking thing. You know what I've been doing all day? I've been writing comments. And that's it. I haven't done any study or research or like nothing like that. I've just been chilling. And that's all I've been doing. And it feels great to be able to do that. And I've realized like I have a lot of blessings in my life that I just wasn't aware of like that. Um, Even as a targeted individual, like I'm blessed in ways that I didn't think of before. And, I was stuck on what to do for a video. I was stuck on what to do for a video because I've been thinking so much about the state of the world and my brain's been turning with all kinds of possibilities and theories and philosophies and things like that. So I'm thinking I want to make a video, but like, where would I even begin? And then it started from the most unlikely place because I don't know, the perps upstairs were talking crap because they usually do. And, one of the things that they said is that I put a hex on them for saying the N word. I'm going somewhere with this. And I basically said something along the lines of, well, you wanted to genocide an entire group of people via magic because one black person wasn't responding the way you wanted. And it was true. It was actually true. But then came another thought. There was this one time where they were really intent on knowing what my boyfriend's name was at the time. And I'm thinking, why did they want to know what my boyfriend's name was? And then I'm thinking to myself, oh yeah, they probably wanted to hex so that wouldn't have boyfriends or something like that. But then I started looking at all these other stories about women in relationships and women with children, like just getting so fucking angry for them. And here I am on a Monday evening, no job because of the financial abuse of gang stalking, and no kids and no boyfriend either. It means I don't have to run behind people all the time. I don't have to constantly sit up in front of people even when I don't feel like it. I don't have to do school runs. I don't have to be the chauffeur, the maid, the therapist, like being basically a good parent means wearing multiple hats. And as a single woman, I don't have to fucking do that. I don't have to do any of that. I get to have a day where I do fuck all. Do you know the kind of shit that does for your nervous system, especially when you are a targeted individual? I get an opportunity where I get to do nothing at all. And ironically, if people would have left me alone, I would have had work to do. I wouldn't have been able to relax. I wouldn't have been able to gather my thoughts. I wouldn't have been able to have the relaxation time that I'm able to have pretty much throughout the day. The only reason why I do tarot readings is because I choose to. I have the choice to. If I had if I had the same thing that everybody else was bragging about having, I wouldn't have any choice whatsoever. I wouldn't have any freedom to do anything for myself. I'd just be doing things out of obligation and not doing things because I wanted to, or because it made me happy, or because it was the right thing to do. Like, there isn't room for principle or passion when you are constantly overburdened with what other people expect of you. That's the truth. Unless you're completely running on anxiety, you're not getting anything out of that shit. And even then, like, being a workaholic is just another version of an addiction. So I don't have to deal with that. As a targeted individual, even as somebody in my position, I don't have to deal with that. As a single woman, I don't have to deal with that. I don't have to deal with having to be in people's face when I don't want to be. I don't have to deal with it. Okay? I didn't even have to deal with it when I lived in a shared accommodation. I get the time to myself to think of, to figure out who I am as a woman, where I want my life to be. I get to do these things because I don't have to worry about a man being ignorant in my fucking face, or a woman that I have to like emotionally labor for, you know, to make sure that we're both in sync or whatever. I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about offloading my trauma and my pain onto another generation of kids that came out of me. I don't have to worry about that either. And when it comes to work, I already go through enough harassment here. Imagine if I had work and I had to deal with workplace harassment on top of that. Baby. No, no, no. Let me put that in even further perspective for you. I want to remind you guys that the majority of my gang stalkers were either wives to be, mothers to be, or mothers, period. Okay. If you have children, if you have a boyfriend, if you have a husband, if you have a wife, if you have anybody in your life that depend on you, or anybody that you're supposedly happy with, and you're involved in gang stalking, clearly that wasn't fucking helping you. I'm just saying, clearly that wasn't helping you. Clearly having friends isn't helping you if you have to live a lie. Clearly having people in your life isn't helping you if you need to enlist them in bothering someone that has nothing to do with you. Clearly that is not helping you. What good is having children if you're sick in the head? What good is having like a spouse if it doesn't fulfill you, if it doesn't fulfill you to the point where you need to terrorize someone else to get your rocks off? What good is working if the work doesn't fulfill you to the point where you need to terrorize somebody else to feel alive or to get some extra money? What is the point in any of this if this is what you do with it? And when it comes to the hexes and everything, these people are fucking small fry in comparison to some of the other hexes that people have tried to put on me. But it all revolved around taking away, you know, things that are supposed to be blessings in my life, but really would have been massive stress factors. Massive. The thing is that the thing that the hexes revolved around is that they have something that they're not happy with, but they want me to want what they have. They don't even want it, but they want me to have what they have. That's the whole point of gang stalking. The whole point of gang stalking is you're surrounded by people who hate their lives, but who want you to want the lives that they hate. That's what gang stalking runs on. That's what narcissistic abuse runs on. That's what like discrimination and prejudice of all kinds runs on. You hate your life. You hate your life because you want things you can't have, because you keep getting things you don't deserve. So you want somebody else to want what you have, you know, when you don't even want your life, because the only way you can really function is when somebody else is more miserable than you. Like, how do you have all the things that you call blessings that I'm apparently not blessed with, and yet you're miserable enough to literally involve yourself in something that not only degrades your community, but degrades your country? And that's before I even get into targeted individuals that have lost their children. Targeted individuals, I can't even talk about Pauline right now. I can't even talk about her right now. Like, just to even mention that feels gross. And here I am mentioning it again. It just feels gross to even talk about it. That's not to mention what targeted individuals go through when they actually do have the jobs and the spouses and the relationships and the friends and the children. Because these TIs refuse to live a lie, they're punished for it by people who do. It's fucking grim. It's fucking grim. This is why I say my life, it's not how I wanted it to turn out, but this was the best outcome there could have been. I can go anywhere that I want to. As somebody who's single, I can go anywhere I want to. I can go anywhere I please. You understand? 5 years ago, more than 5 years ago, I moved to an entirely different part of the fucking country just because I fucking could. Just because I could. I didn't even need to do that. Just because I could, I moved from one part of the country to another part of the country. And now I'm looking to move out again. There are several places in this country that I could go to for the simple reason that I'm a single woman with no children, no job, no boyfriend or girlfriend, no husband or wife. I can go where the fuck I want for the simple reason that I don't have anybody like that. I have like a couple of friends. I have interested parties. But the fact that I don't have anyone, it gives me the freedom to move around in the way that I want to. And for those who are going to say, yeah, but you're not happy. I'm not happy because I'm being trafficked. I'm not happy because I'm being gang stalked. But if you take the gang stalking equation out of it, the fact that I'm single, it gives me a distinct advantage over me having a boyfriend, having a husband, having children, having a job. I have freedom that I have the type of freedom that a lot of people don't have. And it's not even just because I'm a single woman. It's because I live in my truth as well. I live in my truth. You know, imagine me being a mother and needing to traffic another person. Imagine me, like, even knowing what it meant for my kids, even knowing what it meant for future grandkids. Imagine me being a mother and trafficking somebody, thinking that would make me a good mother. Imagine me trafficking someone, thinking that it would be good for my husband or wife to do. There is no way. Imagine me using my job to traffic another person. Couldn't do it. Could not fucking do it. And another thing that being independent and single allows me to do, it allows me to save myself, but it also allows me to do good for other people in the world. And this is where being a targeted individual comes in handy. Because, you know, if I'm already blacklisted, right? And I start talking about, you know, the secret insurance that our countries have on every single one of their citizens. If I start talking about that, and I start talking about, shadow currency, and I start talking about, you know, the golden arms wars, or the golden arms race that every single country seems to be under right now. If I start talking about that, what the fuck are they going to do to me? They're going to blacklist me again? I'm already blacklisted. What the fuck are they going to do? Blacklist me a second time? I'm already blacklisted. I'm already on the list. I literally risk nothing by speaking out and speaking the truth. And guess who gains? Everyone else. How could I lose? How could I lose? What do I have to lose by speaking out and speaking the truth? I don't have a fucking thing to lose at that point. Guess who loses? The people that tried to silence me. Because that's more time they robbed away from themselves, that they could have saved themselves, that they could have stopped fascism, that they could have stopped benefits being dwindled in this country, that they could have stopped money being repeatedly squeezed out of the public in order to fund warfare, or in order to fund fucking buying up gold and buying up weapons. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because there's a gold rush at the moment. There's a gold race. Where do you think all the austerity money is going to? Where do you think any spare change is going to? It's going towards building up a gold reserve before everything crashes the fuck out. That's where it's going. So imagine having a family and still wanting to traffic people to feel good about your own life, yet and still every single choice you've made has made your family's lives that much harder, made your friends' lives that much harder. And then on top of that, you made them believe a lie about you. You made them believe lies about who you are and what you're doing. There are benefits to being alone. Benefits. And it's only now that I'm kind of really looking at it from that perspective. Like there are benefits to being by yourself. There are benefits, you get to know yourself properly because you don't have people in your ear either like fucking, either sucking up to you or, do you know what I mean? Or trying to criticize you for the sake of it. You don't have that. So you're on your own. It's great. You get to know who you really are outside what people are projecting. And because nobody's seeing you, or because people choose not to see you or choose not to listen to you, if they can't see you, they can't fucking stop you. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You got people who hate their lives so much and they want you to have what they have. Even as a targeted individual, even as a TI, my life is fucking blessed in spite of everything that these gang stalkers tried to do to me. My life is blessed. I have nothing to be ashamed of. I have nothing to be afraid of anymore. Because everything that I've tried to do from the time I knew about the gang stalking, everything that I've tried to do online has been towards saving as many people as possible. I have nothing to feel ashamed of. And it's getting to a point now where it actually, it doesn't cancel out some of the stuff that I did in my past, because what I did in my past is what I did in my past. But the things that I have done in my past kind of pale in comparison to the good that my actions have been aimed towards. Pales in comparison. Pales in comparison. So the guilt or the shame or the degradation of the world, it falls squarely on the shoulders of people who tried to silence me. I am very, very blessed. I am very, very blessed. And ironically, it took me losing social currency to see that, to see how blessed I was on the low. Baby, if you have got all the blessings that you think makes you a human being and you're still sick in the head and you're still trafficking people, I don't know what to say to you, babe. Have at it. Have at it. That includes not being black, not looking like masculinizing black women to dehumanize them is nothing new. But whatever you think is a blessing in your life, if hatred and ignorance and lies and bullying and cruelty and obsession and fixation and sociopathic behavior are all that you have to show for it, baby, keep it. Keep it, okay? Keep it. And that's not even just aimed towards these racist neighbors here, that's also towards my dad's neighbors as well. How pathetic do you have to have friends who are willing to suck your dick? I mean, this person's female, but you know what I'm talking about. How pathetic do you have to have friends sucking your dick, to have children that are basically your cheerleaders, to have the most gorgeous, like the most gorgeous little grandbaby, right? Just a beautiful little, you know what? How pathetic do you have to be to have all of that, all of those blessings, all of those friends, to have work that you can go to, things that you value, things that you think make you a better human being than me? How do you have so-called sanity and still be a murderous cunt who is sick in the head? How do you have all of these things and still weaponize a vulnerable man's need to fit into society just to manipulate him out of accountability for you murdering his kid? This is what fitting into society brings you. This is what happens when you're not happy with your life. This is what happens when you brag about being, you know, the favorite of the cosmos or the favorite of everybody. This is what happens when you brag about it and you still hate your fucking life. You know what I mean? You probably heard all that, right? Probably heard all that, right? I'm walking past my door talking shit. You can probably hear exactly what they're saying when I play it back. Or maybe not. This is pretty strong. Maybe not. But yeah. If you have, like, you have all these families, all this friends, work, stuff like that. There is no way you like your life if you're trafficking. There is no way you're lying to your friends and lying to your colleagues if you're that happy with your life. There's no way. There is absolutely no way. And there's no way you're happy if you're weaponizing a vulnerable man against his own children. Dad's not innocent. I love my dad, but he's not innocent. At the same time, he's vulnerable. He's vulnerable. And he knows that, and I know that. And I know that they're weaponizing his need to fit in. Weaponizing his need to keep the peace. All it's ever done is land both him and them and their entire community in a disadvantageous situation. Because they wanted to be the good ones. They wanted to be the heroes. Nothing to say of my family too. The amount of material blessings they have. You don't know the kind of dirt that they've done to each other and to me. Hell, the kind of dirt even I've done to them. You don't know. And these are people that supposedly have all the trappings of what a normal society demands. And it's those trappings that allow people to hide their darkness and implement it on people who are vulnerable. You see, I wanted the family life too. I was compet, so it's a little bit different for me. But I wanted the romance thing too. I wanted the baby. Well, I didn't want any children actually. I thought I did, but I don't really. I wanted pets though. I definitely wanted pets. I wanted cats so fucking bad. I still do. I want cats, man. Like maybe not a lot, but like at least a couple of cats, right? But you know, I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be normal, but it's only when I'm looking at life that I realize what fitting in actually means. It means hating your fucking life, pretending like you don't, and then offloading that hatred onto people who don't live the life that you hate. And then trying to make that person want what you don't want. That's what being normal is. And it's taken me like 40 years to understand all this. It's taken me 40 years to get it. And it's, you know, it's weird. It's so strange. But again, I'm the type of person, I've never wanted anything good for myself. Everything good that ever happened for me in my life, I did not want. But this whole conversation around who has what, it's reminded me, I am so blessed to lead a life where I get to be myself. That's all I ever wanted, to be myself and to feel like I was valued for it. And I do every day, even if it's by just me. I lead a life where I am valued. And I don't feel valued all day, but I feel valued every fucking day. I feel appreciated every fucking day. Every day. And I know people don't believe it because, again, I don't fit the aesthetic of somebody who's supposed to like their life, but I do like my life. Well, no, I don't like my life because I'm being gang stalked. But if gang stalking wasn't in the equation, I would definitely love my life for sure. For sure. I don't feel happy every day because of the gang stalking. But I do feel valued every day because of me. Can't put a price on that. And the freedom, nobody ever tells you, every single person, whenever they talk about being 40, they always talk about the bills. They talk about, oh, you got to pay bills. You got to be like, nobody ever talks about the fucking freedom. Nobody ever talks about that. Especially when you're childless, especially when you don't have like a partner, like an albatross around your neck. Nobody ever talks about the freedom. Nobody ever talks about the freedom and the lack of pretense. And you also realize that people judge success and failure entirely by how well they fit into society. They don't even like it. They don't even like it. You know what I mean? The only thing that I would probably take back, the only thing I hate is the fact that people don't really like me like that. That's the only thing that I kind of regret, because, you know, having a social life, it might not necessarily be good for your emotional health, especially not in my life, but it can be good for your career. It can be good for making money. People will never say this, but having a social life is just as important as your studies. I knew that when I was younger and people tried to talk shit in my ears, that wasn't the case. But a child's performance in school, it can revolve around, you know, whether or not they're being bullied, whether or not things are okay at home. A social life, when it comes to being a success in life, or, you know, gaining the success that everybody else wants, it can be just as important, probably even more important than the studying you're doing. Because what's the point in like if nobody believes in you, what's the point? So that's the only thing that I regret. The only thing I regret is that I didn't have enough, like, I didn't, ironically, if I'd have trusted myself, I probably would have been a bit more socially adept. If I'd have trusted myself more. If I'd have been less focused on trying to fit in, I ironically probably would have fit in, which is just the wildest thing. But that's the only thing that I really regret. The fact that I don't have that social element. But even then, that social element would just be for my career. It'd just be for survival. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, that's transactional, baby. I live a life where everything that I do is weaponized by other people. Miss me. Miss me. And everything that I do is weaponized by other people for a reason. Is to isolate you and to stop you from progressing in your life. So miss me with the bullshit. You know what I mean? Other than that though, when I move out of here, I could go anywhere. I can literally go anywhere. Even now at this time, I could go fucking anywhere that I wanted to. I don't even have to be in this country. I knew that 5 years ago. But what are you going to do once you get out there? I'll figure it out. Fuck it. Figure it out. Figure that shit out, mate. You can go anywhere in the world or anywhere you want. When you're single and you don't have any ties, you can do anything. You could go anywhere. Well, technically I can, but gang stalking is always controlling your movements or trying to control your movements in some way. But yeah, I have freedoms even as a targeted individual, as somebody who's single, that somebody with emotional and physical ties doesn't have like that. And also because I don't have spouses, I don't have handlers. I don't have to deal with the Giselle Pellico situation where people might traffic me like in a more obvious sense. Because Giselle Pellico is not the only one this has happened to. There are other women who have had, partners become handlers and have like multiple people, like multiple men come in and fucking violate these women. So because I don't have a partner, I don't have the potential for that. Nor do I have the potential to be violated by a partner in a domestic abuse situation. And when it comes to children, like children being raised to be terrorist little shits is nothing new. But like if I were to have children, it's either they would be raised to be terroristic little shits or they would, become TIs like me because they refuse to be disloyal to their mother. They'd be TIs like me that have a hell of a life, that have hell for a life. Or I don't even want to talk about the third, or it just upsets me. But let's just say there are weapons fired at babies in the womb, which can cause disabilities, let's say. So there's a lot of things that could have happened. Like there's a lot of things that I've narrowly missed in my life. And as much as I'm not as rich as I want to be, nowhere near. I've seen some of these sleeper trains, boy, listen, man, I never felt so poor in my life. Like you need to see some of these sleeper trains, man. They're like fucking hotels on a rail. Luxury. The fuck you mean? Like, like being wealthy. Oh my God, bro. Like, I'm not wealthy at all. And I hate it. But like, I'm not happy and I'm not wealthy, right? And I don't have friends like that. It's okay. But I do value myself every day. Every day. Not all day, but every day. So yeah, like the freedom that I have is crazy. And, and when it comes to children, like I said before, the difficulties that those children would have, not worth it. Not worth it. So you got to take the blessings where you can get them, because otherwise you end up like these people who are gang stalking me. You end up having all the blessings in the world, and it still isn't enough because the person who has less than them is still able to make it work. Sometimes that's enough to piss people off. Sometimes, like, you can have, you know, quote unquote, less than another person, and it'd still be, you'd have less than another person, and the fact that you wouldn't feel bad about it, it would still be enough to piss people off. Because again, they hate their lives and they don't take any responsibility for that. They don't take any responsibility for that, so they make it your problem. Make it everyone else's problem. Just externalize the issue. Now, ma'am. But yeah, I'm not rich, but I can still go places. But I really do hate the fact that I'm not rich. I really do hate it. I really do. I don't like this poverty shit. I really don't. But I am grateful for certain aspects of my life. I'm not grateful for the whole thing. I'm not grateful to be a trafficking victim still. But I am grateful for the fact that there are certain positions that I am not left in. Because it's either I can be a TI and have all these things which would just lead to heartache after heartache, or I can be a gang stalker and have all these things, which means I hate my life to the point where I gaslight myself into doing the most horrific things and have nobody around to correct me. You can keep that. You can keep that. Like, nah. You can keep that, mate. Is there something else I wanted to? No. No, I'm good. I'm just thinking. No, I'm good. I think I should go now. I was just rambling really because, like, again, I got so much I want to talk about, but it's finding the words. So until I find the words, I think I'm going to end it here. Or unless there's something else that I've missed. Yeah, I think, no, it's not it. Fuck, I hate it when that happens. It's always when I'm going that I think of something else. Have you ever been on the phone with somebody and you have to say goodbye, but you end up saying goodbye about 35 times and talking for 10 extra minutes? This is what this is like. Yeah. Oh boy. What was I even gonna say? I mean, I don't know what I was gonna say. All I can see is him getting an image in my mind about what I want to talk about. Yeah, I think it's about, there's so much I want to talk about. There's the fucking, my landlords, the Section 21 thing. There's the gold thing. The gold is going to be the most important thing that I talk about, the next time I make a video on here, because, again, there's a shadow currency underneath the fiat currency, and those are the gold reserves. And I'd be willing to bet that the gold reserves are not only being used to buy guns, they're also being used to buy defense weaponry, like the type you get with Raytheon and all them people there. And I feel like that's probably why the defense budget is so low, and yet the amount of weaponry being used against civilians is so high. I'm willing to bet that's the reason, because of the gold reserves. Because how is like welfare so high, defense weapons are so low, and yet so many people are targeted individuals? There's no way. It has to be the gold reserves. It has to be the gold reserves. It has to be like the buying up gold and shit. Because there are two things with regards to the stocks that have been steadily rising and not coming down like that. Two things: defense and gold, especially defense. I feel like Gold and Arms is behind all this shit. And when it comes to the gold, like I said, we got a lot to talk about. We've got a lot to talk about with regards to that. And also with regards to Tommy Robinson, Donald Trump, Nigel Farage, like everything that I said with that Groypers video that the fucking stupid ass perps took down. Correct. Everything that I said about the Muslims, like, you know, that dickhead wanted to fucking kill all Muslims. And as it turns out, the mosques are one of the few religious fucking people actually feeding the poor. Turned out to be right about that too. There's so many things to talk about, but again, the gold thing is the most important. The gold backed currency is the most important. And then on top of that, there's also the life insurance thing that I covered like a few years ago when I still lived back in Willesden. I was talking to somebody who had been insured for like billions, right? Because of all the experimentations that have been apparently done to them. And I looked up my own details, and apparently, yeah, every single citizen in this country apparently has a life trust in their name. Which makes sense, because if you're a country that is literally a private limited company and every person within it is supposed to be either an employee or an asset, would you or would you not have those assets insured? It doesn't make sense for them not to be insured. It doesn't make sense to have a country that's a private limited company and have all the citizens within it be assets and not have those assets insured. It makes no sense. And it would also make sense that if you liquidate the assets, meaning us, that you would get money out of that you would get a payout out of that. It would make sense, no? So I really feel like the gold-backed currency thing and the life insurance thing, I feel like that's a conversation that needs to be had. But I want to do more research on that before I start talking about it. And the reason why I'm not afraid to talk about it is because I'm a TI. I already have traffickers gunning for me. I'm a fucking TI and I'm loud as hell. I already have traffickers gunning for me. So what the fuck am I keeping anything secret for? What for? Or what? They're going to torture me? They're going to put me through pain? Yes, they're going to put me through pain. Who gives a shit? I'm already blacklisted. I might as well talk about it. And as long as I talk about it, somebody will pick it up, take credit for it, most likely. I don't care, as long as it's out there. So I will talk about the gold at some point. I will talk about the gold currency stuff. I will talk about the life insurance stuff. And yeah, that includes the perps as well. Although the perps probably running pretty fucking cheap at this point, because it will probably take life insurance away from like whatever trust they've been put in. Money might have been taken out of that trust to actually fund the gang stalking. So there's that. Okay. But that's just hypothesis on my part. That's just like conjecture. I don't actually know for sure, which is why I want to do more research on it. But I gotta go. On that note, I will see you another time. I am really late on the readings because I've only done like 4 signs on Empress Justice Tarot, and I've got like 8 more to do. And like the new moon is coming up on it's coming up on the 20th. It's coming up on Thursday. So I want to make sure that I get everything done before then, but can't work miracles. I will see you when I see you. I love you guys so much, my fellow TIs. Peace and blessings. Marsha the Great out. Mwah. Bye-bye, my darlings. Oh, hold on. Slow connection is at the bottom, so I'm trying to get to the button. Can you move? Thank you. Bye.